How you doing, folks? Papa Joe here. Got a little more reading for you. I came across this. We've covered it on different paths, or on different issues, I should say. But now I come across actual reading. Let me get a swaller here and we'll take off on it. Change up from my Mountain Dew. Doing a little Pepsi. We're in the book of Matthew, chapter 24. The destruction of the temple and the signs of the end times. I've already gave you my views about the end times. And this right here will show you what I was talking about. I never did quote you book, chapter, and verse. Just told you the good Lord told us, be ready. It ain't ours to know. Well, here it is. Matthew 24, verse 1. And we're going to read the whole chapter. It's a long read. Jesus left the temple and was walking away when his disciples came up to him to call his attention to its buildings. Do you see these things? He asked. This is Jesus asking. Truly I tell you, not one stone here will be left on another. Everyone will be thrown down. As Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. Tell us, they said, when will this happen? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? Jesus answered, watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the part of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to the persecutor and put to death, and you will be hated by all the nations because of me. At that time many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other. And many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. But the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. So when you see standing in the holy place the abomination that causes desolation, spoken of through the prophet Daniel, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judah flee to the mountains. Let no one on the housetop go down to take anything out of the house. Let no one in the field go back to get their cloak. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. Pray that your flight will not take place in winter or on the Sabbath, for then there will be great distress, unequal from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equal again. And those days had not been cut short, no one would survive, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. At that time, if anyone says to you, look, here is the Messiah, or there he is, do not believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you ahead of time. So if anyone tells you, there he is, out in the wilderness, do not go out. Or here he is in the inner rooms, do not believe. For his lying, hold on, I got distracted, look out the window, seen light. For his lightning that comes from the east is visible even in the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever there is a carcass, there the vultures will gather. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then all of the people of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the cloud of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Even so, when you see all these things, you know that it is near, right at the door. Truly I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. The day and the hour unknown. This is going into verse 36. But about that day or hour, no one knows. Not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. This is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding with a handmill, one will be taken, the other left. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have left his house to be broken into. So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. Who then is the faithful and the wise servant, whom the master has put in charge of the servants in his household to give them their food at the proper time? It will be good for that servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns. Truly I tell you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But suppose that servant is wicked and says to himself, my master is staying away a long time, and he then begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with drunkards. The master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour he is not aware of. He will cut him to pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites, where there will be weeping and gnashing of the teeth. So what do y'all get from that? You know, I've said it many a time, and I'll say it again. The disciples back in those days, they thought the end times was right now. They literally thought that Jesus was down here right now to be taken, to take them. They thought that he in his present form was going to right all the wrongs and reclaim his throne right here, right now. Well, he didn't. Even with him trying to explain to them all the stuff about the prophecies and all this, They didn't understand that he still had to die. He still had to be crucified. He still had to be the sacrificial lamb. They didn't understand that. And we wouldn't have either if we had been there. We, by the grace of God, have got His Word to study. So now we can understand what was going on then and compare it. And don't be calling them fools, them damn fools. They didn't know no more than us. We have people right now today that are claiming the same thing with our times. That all that stuff, rumors of wars and phantom and this, that, and other. And ever since Jesus' day, people have been able to put what is happening in their circumstances to what the Bible quoted. But as Jesus said, don't worry about it. You'll never know. It's not for you to know, only for the Father to know. Go about your life. Go about doing what's right. Go about spreading the seeds. Doing what you think the good Lord wants you to do. Stand up to all the persecution and all the nonsense that Christians are going to have to go through. And it's going to get a lot worse. We see them over in the east. They're being killed. From my understanding, that could happen right here. Are you ready to stand up for God? And that's what he's saying right there in that reading, is that there's a lot of them that are going to change their mind. Oh, no, I don't believe in him now. Don't kill me. I hope I'm braver than that. I like to think I would be. But that's what he's saying right there. We don't know when he's going to come. He's going to come when we all least expect it. And one will go, and one will stay. And that don't mean he's taking half the world, because he's not. Narrow is the way. It's a small gate to get through. It's a small path, remember? He's just telling you that one to go, one to stay. Everybody ain't going. So he's wanting us to be doing our job, whatever we think he's wanting us to do. He wants us to continue to do it. And when the Master comes, he expects to find us doing it. He don't expect to find us being slackers. So don't be the slave that is beating his other slave, beating the other servants, and acting like he's the master. You don't want to be him. You want to be doing your real job. Whatever it is the good Lord's assigned you to do, you want to be doing that job when he comes down. So that's the good word. Remember, God loves you, and so do I. I hope you got something out of this. Y'all have a good evening now. Good night.